It's you against you. The eternal war, the only battle that ever mattered. Forget the world outside for a moment. Forget the faces of those who doubt you, those who cheer you, those who pretend to care. None of them matter here. This is a fight that's waged in silence in the shadows of your own mind. The enemy wears your face, knows your thoughts, understands your weaknesses better than anyone else ever could. You can lie to the world, wear a mask to fool them all. But in this war, there is no escape, no deception. The opponent knows everything, because the opponent is you. The greatest victories are not won in the spotlight. They are forged in the darkness of your own struggles. It's not about conquering others, it's about conquering yourself. Every excuse, every hesitation, every time you've let fear whisper in your ear, it all comes from within. The enemy isn't out there waiting to ambush you. It's already inside, clawing at your resolve, waiting for you to falter. Every step forward is a declaration of war against that voice, that shadow version of yourself that clings to comfort and mediocrity. And this war is relentless. There's no rest, no truce, no surrender. The battlefield is your mind, your habits, your choices. Every moment you're faced with two paths. The one that leads to your potential and the one that keeps you chained. The weaker version of you begs for the easy way, pleads for rest, for mercy. But mercy is for the unworthy. Strength doesn't come from indulging weakness, it comes from crushing it. The stronger version of you waits, urging you forward, demanding more. But strength has a price. It asks for discipline, for sacrifice, for a fire that burns hotter than any excuse, and the choice is always yours. Some call this battle exhausting. They cry out that it's unfair to be at war with oneself, that life is already hard enough without fighting your own reflection. But that's the beauty of it, isn't it? If you can conquer yourself, there's no one left to fear. No obstacle, no enemy, no failure can touch you once you've slain the version of yourself that clings to doubt and comfort. The world outside may be cruel, but it's nothing compared to the storm that rages within. And when you win that battle, the world bends to your will. The weaker you isn't stupid. It knows how to manipulate, how to tempt you into submission. It whispers promises of rest, of indulgence, of an easier life. But every time you give in, it grows stronger. It feeds on your laziness, thrives on your hesitation, becomes a beast that chains you to mediocrity. The stronger you isn't loud, it doesn't beg for attention. It waits in silence, watching, waiting for the moment you'll finally listen. It doesn't demand perfection. It only asks for effort, for the courage to try, for the strength to endure, and it waits as long as it takes. It's not the world that stands in your way, it's your own reflection, your own choices, your own shadows. The weaker version of you will always look for shortcuts, always try to convince you to take the easier road, but shortcuts lead nowhere. The stronger you knows this, knows that the hard road is the only one worth taking. It's not about doing it perfectly, it's about doing it relentlessly. Each day, each decision, each step forward is a victory. The weaker you hates this, hates the grind, the effort. But the stronger you thrives on it. There's no one to blame in this war, no enemy to point at, no villain to vanquish except yourself. That's the most terrifying part, isn't it? To know that your greatest enemy is the one looking back at you in the mirror. The battle is never ending. The stakes are always high, and the consequences of failure are eternal regret. But the rewards of victory? Freedom, strength, a life lived on your own terms. The stronger you knows this whispers it to you in moments of clarity, when the noise of the world fades and you're left alone with your thoughts. You can't run from this fight. The weaker you will chase you wherever you go, dragging chains of doubt and fear behind it. The stronger you waits patiently unshaken because it knows there's no escape from this battle. Every missed opportunity, every wasted moment is another victory for the weaker you, another step backward. But every small act of defiance, Every push forward, no matter how small, is a strike against it. The stronger you doesn't need massive victories. It grows stronger with every small win, every time you say no to weakness and yes to discipline. The world outside is a reflection of the world within. If you let the weaker you win, your life will crumble into the chaos of its making. But if you let the stronger you lead, the world bends to your strength, your will. It's not about being the best. It's about being better than the person you were yesterday. That's the only measure of progress that matters. The weaker you hates progress. It thrives on stagnation, on delay, on the idea that tomorrow is always an option. But the stronger you knows better. It knows that tomorrow is a thief and only today matters. This battle isn't for the faint-hearted. It's for those who understand that the only way to truly win is to conquer the self, to rise above the excuses and the delays and the distractions. The weaker you is loud, but the stronger you is patient. It waits for the moment you finally realize that the only person standing in your way is you. Comparison is a slow poison, a thief that steals focus and replaces it with envy. People waste their lives measuring themselves against others, blinded by the illusion of someone else's progress. They stare at the peaks others have climbed and forget that their own journey is not the same. Each person's battle is unique, fought in shadows no one else can see. The real war is not with the world outside, not with the achievements of strangers. The real war is with the person you were yesterday. That's the only standard that matters. To compare yourself to someone else is to ignore your own path, to disrespect the struggle that has brought you this far. The world loves to parade its victories, flaunting success in a way that makes the unthinking fall into despair. But what you see is only a mask, a performance designed to feed egos and spark jealousy. The strong know this game and refuse to play. They don't look at the heights others have reached because they are too focused on their own climb. To glance sideways is to risk losing your footing. Yesterday is the only rival worth considering. If you are better today than you were then, you've already won. The rest is noise, distraction, a trick played by those who want to drag you down. Envy is the weapon of the weak. It gnaws at the mind, filling it with questions that lead nowhere. Why is their life better? Why do they succeed while I fail? Such thoughts are chains binding you to a prison of self-pity. But those who rise above this pettiness understand that the only question worth asking is, am I better today than I was yesterday? That's the measure of growth, the mark of someone who refuses to let the world dictate their worth. Progress is a personal game, one where only your past self matters. The rest is irrelevant, a hollow distraction. The person you were yesterday knows your every move, your every weakness. It remembers the promises you made, the ones you broke, the chances you wasted. It's not a kind adversary. It watches, judges, and waits for you to falter again. But it is also your greatest teacher. Yesterday is the mirror that reflects not who you are, but who you could be. To compare yourself to someone else is to shatter that mirror, to ignore the lessons it offers. The strong know better. They stare into the reflection unafraid and use it to forge themselves into something greater. Progress isn't glamorous, it's a grind, a slow crawl forward, often unseen by the world. While others flaunt their achievements, the wise remain silent, focused only on surpassing their former selves. They don't need applause, don't crave validation. Their victories are quiet, personal, but infinitely more meaningful. Each step forward, no matter how small, is a triumph over yesterday. Those who waste time comparing themselves to others never understand this. They are too busy looking outward to realize the battlefield is within. They lose not because they lack potential, but because they fight the wrong fight. The world is full of masks, illusions designed to make others feel inadequate. Social media, the perfect lives on display, it's all a game, a lie meant to trap you in comparison. But the strong refuse to be fooled. They see through the facade and focus on the only thing that matters, their own path. Yesterday is their measuring stick, the only rival worth defeating. Each day they chip away at their flaws, sharpen their strengths, and become better, stronger. They don't care what others are doing because their gaze is fixed firmly on their own progress. The noise of the world doesn't touch them. To compare yourself to others is to betray your own journey. It's a distraction that leads nowhere, a trap for the unwise. The strong understand that their only enemy is the version of themselves they were yesterday. Yesterday holds all the failures, all the missed opportunities, all the weaknesses. It is a worthy rival, one that challenges them to rise, to grow, to conquer. They wake each day with a single mission, to be better than they were before. The world may applaud others, but the strong don't care. Their applause comes from within, from knowing they've won the most important battle. Growth isn't about leaps and bounds, it's about inches, small victories that add up over time. The strong understand this. They don't need dramatic transformations to feel accomplished. They understand that the path to greatness is built one brick at a time. Yesterday lays the foundation and today adds another layer. Those who compare themselves to others often miss this truth. They want instant success, forgetting that true progress is slow, deliberate, and deeply personal. The strong don't rush. They trust the process, knowing that as long as they are better today than they were yesterday, they are on the right path. Yesterday is not your enemy, it's your benchmark. It shows you how far you've come and how far you still have to go. The world loves to distract you with shiny objects, with the achievements of others. But those who master themselves don't fall for it. They know that the only race worth running is the one against their own past. Each day is a battle, a chance to rise above who they were before. The world can keep its trophies and accolades. The strong only want one thing, to look back on yesterday and know they've won responsibility. The word cuts through the noise, slicing away the false promises of happiness and fleeting pleasure. It's not glamorous, nor is it easy, but it's in responsibility where most people find meaning, the kind that doesn't favor the next distraction. Happiness is shallow, momentary escape from the weight of life, but responsibility, it's heavy, and that's exactly why it matters. Meaning is forged in that weight, in the burdens you choose to carry. Those who avoid it, who chase nothing but pleasure, drift through life, hollow and aimless. Responsibility gives you purpose, and purpose is what keeps you alive when the world tries to break you. Pleasure is an illusion, a flickering candle that dies as quickly as it's lit. It deceives you, offering comfort without depth, joy without substance. But responsibility demands sacrifice, and in that sacrifice it gives back something far more valuable than pleasure could ever provide. Responsibility roots you, anchors you to something larger than yourself. It shapes you, forcing you to grow stronger, more resilient. Those who run from it, trade responsibility for temporary happiness, crumble at the first sign of adversity. Responsibility, for all its weight, builds fortresses within. It doesn't coddle you, it arms you. The world tempts you with ease, with the promise of a carefree life. But the strong know better. They see that pleasure is fleeting while responsibility is eternal. It's responsibility that sharpens your edges, molds your character, and gives your life a direction that pleasure never could. Sweet lies telling you that you deserve more, that comfort is the ultimate goal. Responsibility, on the other hand, tells you the hard truths, that only through effort, discipline, and sacrifice can you create a life worth living. It's not an easy path, but it's the only one that leads somewhere worthwhile. Most people fear responsibility because it reveals their inadequacies. It shows them how far they have to go, how much they must grow to bear its weight. But the strong don't shy away from this challenge. They embrace it, knowing that responsibility doesn't just show you who you are, it shows you who you could be. Every burden carried, every task completed, is a step closer to that version of yourself that can look the world in the eye without flinching. The weak avoid responsibility to stay comfortable. The strong seek it to become invincible. There's no greater test of character than the burdens you willingly accept. Responsibility separates those who live with purpose from those who merely exist. It is a quiet, unrelenting force, stripping away excuses and demanding action. Those who embrace it find that life has more depth, more meaning. They become more than who they were. Responsibility isn't about proving something to the world. It's about proving something to yourself. Each task you take on, each sacrifice you make, is a victory over the part of you that craves ease and comfort. Responsibility is the enemy of stagnation. Happiness has always been a distraction, a shiny object dangled in front of those too weak to face the truth. The world loves to sell it, to promise that a better life is just one indulgence away. But happiness is a mirage, a fleeting spark that burns out before it ever truly warms you. Responsibility, however, is fire. It burns steady, lighting your path through the darkness. It forces you to face yourself, to confront your fears, your flaws, your weaknesses. And in that confrontation, it offers a chance for transformation. Those who avoid responsibility stay cold, unlit, forever wandering in the dark. Pleasure fades, but the meaning you find in responsibility endures. It's the foundation on which a meaningful life is built. Without it, all you have are empty pursuits, hollow victories that mean nothing when the noise dies down. Responsibility demands effort, but it rewards you with something far greater than happiness, fulfillment. It makes you whole in a way that no fleeting joy ever could. Each responsibility you take on, each weight you carry, adds layers to your character, depth to your soul. While others chase surface-level pleasures, the strong dig deeper, finding treasure in the work that most people run from. To avoid responsibility is to betray yourself, to leave your potential untapped and your life unfulfilled. It's easy to chase happiness, to lose yourself in distractions, but it's a shallow way to live. The strong understand that life's meaning isn't found in comfort, it's found in challenge. Responsibility is the ultimate challenge, a call to rise above the weaker version of yourself. It doesn't care about your excuses, your fears, or your desires. It only cares that you step up, that you face the weight and bear it with pride. Responsibility doesn't make life easier, but it makes it worth living. The person you are now is watching, waiting to see if you'll step up or shrink away. But the person you could be, the one forged in the fires of responsibility, looms larger. That version of you is powerful, unyielding, but it will never exist unless you answer the call. Responsibility is the bridge between who you are and who you could become. It demands courage, discipline, and consistency. Each time you avoid it, you let the weaker version of yourself win. Each time you embrace it, you take one step closer to greatness. Bad habits are the slow death of potential, a poison that seeps into the soul drop by drop until nothing remains but a shell of what could have been. They don't strike all at once, they creep unnoticed, bedding themselves in the fabric of daily life. Each wasted hour, each indulgence in comfort over discipline, chips away at the person you were meant to be. The tragedy is that most don't even realize it. They think they have time, that there's always tomorrow. But with each passing day, the flame inside dims, and what could have been begins to wither. lost to the weight of idleness. Cultivating bad habits is like planting weeds in a garden. At first, they seem harmless, even small, but over time they grow, choking out every chance for greatness, leaving only decay. Those who spend their lives biding time, waiting for the perfect moment, are blind to the fact that their moments are slipping away one by one. They trade ambition for ease, potential for the false security of routine. And when they finally wake up, they find that much of who they could have been is already gone, dissipated into the fog of lost opportunities. It's not the big failures that destroy someone, it's the quiet erosion caused by bad habits. These habits are insidious, seductive in their simplicity. Skipping one task, indulging one comfort, procrastinating on one goal. None of these seem catastrophic on their own, but together they build a fortress of mediocrity, locking you inside. The person who once dreamed of conquering the world becomes a prisoner of their own making, trapped in cycles of inaction and regret. The worst part? The walls are invisible until it's too late. Bad habits do more than waste time, they steal identity. The person you could have been, the one who was bold, disciplined, and full of fire, becomes unrecognizable. Each indulgence weakens resolve. Each excuse corrodes integrity. Soon you're left with nothing but the shadow of your former self, a diluted version of who you were meant to be. You tell yourself that you're trying, that you're working on it, but deep down you know the battle has already been lost. You didn't fight hard enough, didn't push back against the lure of comfort. Now there's nothing left to save. The diminishing of potential isn't sudden, it's a slow bleed. A single day spent giving in to bad habits might seem insignificant, but over weeks, months, years, the cost is staggering. Greatness isn't stolen in dramatic moments of failure. It's eroded in the quiet hours when discipline was needed but ignored. The strong know this, and they guard their habits with the ferocity of a warrior protecting a fortress. They understand that each small decision, each seemingly minor action, builds or destroys the person they are becoming. The worst enemy you'll ever face isn't external. It's the version of yourself that's comfortable in mediocrity. The one who whispers that it's okay to rest, to take it easy, to start tomorrow. That version thrives on bad habits, feeding off your weakness, growing stronger with each surrender. It waits patiently, knowing that every time you choose ease over effort, it gains ground. The battle against bad habits isn't fought in grand gestures, it's fought in the small daily decisions that seem insignificant, but shape the course of your entire life. Because in the end, it's always you versus you, and the strongest version of yourself is the one who refuses to let bad habits win.